Well, hello everyone. Whoa. This is Chris Swearingin, and this is Computer Magazine. Let's get the digital mashup started for today, Tuesday, February 28, 2017. That'll be good, huh? Good job. Hey, it's not just you. Massive internet outage is sweeping the East Coast, and it may have something to do with Amazon. Did the Oscars just prove that we are living in a computer simulation? And 13 most interesting questions answers from Bill Gates' AMA on Reddit. And a lot more, so stay tuned. So, this is from BGR. It's not just you. Massive internet outage is sweeping the East Coast. If it seems like your internet browsing is hitting more walls than possible today, you'll be happy to know that it's not your computer. A massive Amazon Web Services, AWS, outage is striking down lots and lots of web pages, leading to huge hiccups on a number of domains. Amazon is reporting the issue on its AWS dashboard, citing increased error rates, which is a fancy way of saying that something is seriously broken. Amazon Web Services is the cloud services arm of Amazon, and its Amazon Simple Storage Services, S3, is used by everyone from Netflix to Reddit. When it goes down or experiences any type of increased latency or errors, it causes major issues downstream, preventing content from loading on web pages and causing requests to fail. We've identified the issue as high error rates with S3 in US East 1, Amazon explains on its services tracking page, adding that the issue is also impacting applications and services dependent on S3. We are actively working on remediating the issue. These instances are always a great reminder of how much of the internet relies on just a handful of huge companies to keep it up and running. An issue with Amazon S3 service creates problems for countless websites that rely on their storage product to be up and running every second of the day. Unfortunately, there's always ghosts in the machine, and downtime is inevitable. Let's all pray that Amazon gets everything sorted out in short order. Well, I'd be curious to find out what exactly caused this issue. A lot of people who use Amazon, everybody knows about Amazon pretty much, is not necessarily aware how big Amazon's web services, how big the cloud infrastructure of the internet is dependent on Amazon. And in fact, we have several virtual servers, Computer Magazine with Amazon AWS and so forth, but luckily we don't depend on them entirely. So that's why we didn't experience very many problems today. A little bit of slowdown, but yeah, so Amazon going down can be disastrous. Of course, what would we do without Google? And we'll be talking about Google here in a little bit. This next article is by Adam Gopnik on the New Yorker's website. And it's kind of timely, being that we just went through the Oscars and the strange mix-up at the end. And also because the computer simulation theory of reality is something we talk about. Elon Musk has talked about. We love to talk about at Computer Magazine. We love to talk about at another organization, a nonprofit organization I'm involved in. And it's one of the ways that it's something you can't really refute. We can't prove, at least at this point, we can't disprove that we're all living in a simulation. Now, this is an idea that's been around for a long time. Most recently, as far as high profile, I think would be Nick Bostrom, who wrote a paper about it many years back, or several years back anyway. and kind of brought the topic back up. But really, it's been going around for a long time. I mean, if you think about the Matrix, which really isn't the same as the computer simulation. The computer simulation theory proposes that we're possibly fully living in a simulation, not that just our bodies are plugged into some type of computer like the Matrix suggests, but that we have no bodies. We are all purely simulated. And you can imagine this, that if the computer technology that exists today, that is developed since pretty much completely from the 40s, you might say, digital computing, has advanced this far in a few decades, and with computing power, the famous law, computing power doubling every year and a half, if this continues, that 1,000 years from now or 10,000 years from now, our great-great-great-great-grandkids could potentially be running simulations of their ancestors. So it'd be an ancestor simulation, and this is what they talk about. And that they could fully embody objects, people that would be fully conscious, have a fully simulated world. It would essentially be a very, very advanced Sim City or Sim Life, and any of the other games that you see today, which are getting more and more realistic, 3D, and more artificial intelligence involved. So we're really in the infancy of computing. Now, it's funny to me that we couldn't even have conceived of this 100 years ago before computers. So who knows 100 years from now, let alone 1,000 years from now, the things that we can't even imagine right now. So I take this with a grain of salt, but still, yeah, we couldn't imagine computers, but really that just expands the possibilities that there's an infinity of things that we can't imagine now, but we'll understand 1,000 years from now. But regardless, if you go back to the computer or whatever the equivalent quantum computer, it might be 1,000 years from now, and something even beyond that, 10,000 years from now, it's very possible that somebody could be running us in a simulation. So in a sense, you might have a case where you can't debate a god if that god was some 13-year-old kid running a simulation of this universe, who could reach down and change factors, intervene in events. You might have a case there where you see atheists and theists debating it, but this might be a case where it's undebatable. But on both sides, really, because you can't prove it or disprove it. Now, maybe eventually we will. Anyway, so it's a fascinating thing. I suggest you look it up, the simulation theory, Nick Bostrom. And, of course, you know, if you look back at Star Trek, Ship in a Bottle, and, I mean, this has been going on for 30, 40 years more, this kind of proposal. Life simulations that started in the 60s on mainframes. So the title of this article is, Did the Oscars Just Prove That We Are Living in a Computer Simulation? Last night's Oscar bizarreness was not just bizarre, but bizarre in a way that is typical of this entirely bizarre time. The rhythm of the yes they won, oh my god, no they didn't event with La La Land replaced by Moonlight as Best Picture was weirdly like that of Election Night. First, a more or less expected, if safe, result was on its way, though Hillary Clinton never got all the way to the stage, so to speak. The result did seem safely in hand at 7 p.m. according to polling, and the expected and safe people were ready to deliver their touching but obviously polished pieces. Then the sudden confusion and visible near panic of people running around in the background of the stage with the same slightly horrified spirit that one felt on election night as shocking results began emerging from the exurban counties in Florida. Then, yes, can this be happening? The revised and unexpected result. In this case, obviously, the result was positive to all but the poor La La Land producers, with their earnest and spouse-approved speeches already delivered. Moonlight was no Donald Trump of cinema and obviously a popular favorite. Though there are those of us who found it beautifully photographed sentiments a bit, well, sentimental. I haven't seen it, so I don't know, and I haven't seen La La Land either. In fact, I've seen very few movies this year. But the rhythm of the night was disconcertingly the same, and the sheer improbability of the happenstance scarily alike. Nothing like this has remotely happened before. This wasn't just a minor kerfuffle. This was a major malfunction. Trump cannot be president. Forgetting all the bounds of ideology, no one vaguely like him has ever existed in the long list of presidents, good, bad, and indifferent. No one remotely as oafish or as crude or as obviously unfit. Well, of course, depending on your politics, that's debatable, but we will continue. People don't say grab them by the pussy and get elected. Can happen in the same way. While there have been Oscar controversies before, tie votes and rejected trophies, never before has there been an occasion when the entirely wrong movie was given the award, the speech is delivered, and then another movie put it in its place. That doesn't happen, ever. And so both of these bizarre events put one in mind of a simple but arresting thesis, that we are living in the Matrix, and something has gone wrong with the controllers. This idea was, I'm told, put forward first and most forcefully by the NYU philosopher David Chalmers. What is happening lately, he says, is support for the hypothesis that we are living in a computer simulation and something has recently gone haywire within it. The people or machines or aliens who are supposed to be running our lives are having some kind of breakdown. There's a glitch, and we're in it. Once this insight is offered, it must be said everything else begins to fall in order. The recent Super Bowl, for instance, the result bizarre on the surface, with that unprecedented and impossible comeback, complete with razzle-dazzle catches and completely blown coverages and defensive breakdowns, makes no sense at all in the real world. Doesn't happen. But it is exactly what you expect to happen when a teenager and his middle-aged father exchange controllers in the EA Sport video game version. The father stabs and pushes the buttons desperately while the kid makes one play after another, and 25 points and a 25-point leads are erased in minutes, and in just that way, with ridiculous ease on the one side and chicken with his head cut off panic infecting the other. What happened then, one realizes with last 5 minutes of the Twilight Zone logic is obvious. Sometime in the third quarter, the omniscient alien or supercomputer that was playing the Patriots exchanged his controller with his teenage offspring or newer model with the unbelievable result we saw. There may be not merely a glitch in the Matrix, there may be a Loki, a prankster, suddenly running it all. After all, the same kind of thing seemed to happen on Election Day. The program was all set, and then some mischievous overlord, whether alien or artificial intelligence doesn't matter, said, well, what if he did win? How would they react? You can't do that to them, the wiser, older architect said. Oh, come on, the kid said. It'll be funny. Let's see what they do. And then it happened. We seem to be living within a kind of adolescent rebellion on the part of the controllers of the video game we're trapped in, who are doing this for their strange idea of fun. The thesis that we are in a simulation is, as people who track such things know, my own college-age son has explained it to me, far from a joke or mere conceit. The argument actually debated at length at the American Museum of Natural History just last year is that the odds are overwhelming that ours is a simulated universe. The argument is elegant. Since the advance of intelligence seems like the one constant among living things, and since living things are far likelier than not to be spread around the universe, then one of these things that smart living things will do is make simulations of other universes in which to run experiments. We're not all that smart, and we're already starting to do it, modeling large interacting economies and populations on our own, presumably primitive computers. Since there will be only one real universe and countless simulated ones, the odds that we are living in one of the simulations instead of the one actual reality are overwhelming. If intelligent life exists, then we're surely likely to be living in one of its matrices, or matrixes, depending on how you grammatize it. As Clara Moskowitz, writing in Scientific American, no less, explains succinctly, a popular argument for the simulation hypothesis came from University of Oxford philosopher Nick Bostrom in 2003 when he suggested that members of an advanced civilization with enormous computing power might decide to run simulations of their ancestors. They would probably have the ability to run many, many such simulations to the point where the vast majority of minds would actually be artificial ones within such simulations rather than the original ancestral mind. So simple statistics suggest it is much more likely that we are among the simulated minds. The implicit dread logic is plain. If we are among the simulated minds, then we exist in order to be stimulated minds. We exist in order for the controllers to run experiments. Until recently, our simulation, the matrix within which we are unknowingly imprisoned, seemed in reasonable sound hands. Terrible things did happen as the cold-blooded, unemotional machines that ran it experimented with the effects of traumatic events, wars, plagues, Gilligan's Island on a hyper-emotionalized program such as us. And yet the basic logic of the unfolding program seemed sound. Things pinned down did not suddenly drift towards the ceiling. Cats did not go to Westminster. Donald Trump did not get elected president. The movie that won Best Picture was the movie that won Best Picture. Now everything has gone haywire and anything can happen. Whether we are at the mercy of an omniscient adolescent prankster or suddenly the subjects of more harrowing experiment than any we have been subject to before, is our alien overlords' funding threatened, thus forcing them to show results to the grant-giving institution that doubtless oversees all the simulations? We can now expect nothing remotely normal to take place for a long time to come. They're fiddling with our knobs and nobody knows the end. Or perhaps, let us pray, it's just that someone forgot to plug in an important part of the machine, and when they spot the problem, they'll plug us back into the usual psychological circuits. Let's hope for a sudden mysterious surge of energy and then normalcy again. But don't count on it. Expect the worst. Oh wait, it's already happened. Well, of course that depends on perspective, but things have been strange lately, but then life is always strange. It's just that we're living in it, and so we seem to recognize it now. But people would have said that 30 years ago, and we'll be saying that 30 years from now. I don't actually think we violated any fundamental principles of the universe. Such things are likely to happen. Unlikely events are likely to happen. They said Donald Trump statistically had a 1/3 chance of winning the presidency, and things that have a 1/3 chance happen all the time. 1/3 out of 3/3 time. So, 33% of the time. So nothing has happened unusual. Granted, that Patriots come back with something. That was almost unexplainable. But anyway, it's a funny article. Well, hello again, my geek brothers and sisters and fans and various other people, technology interested people. We work hard here at Computer Magazine to bring you technology news 24/7, so please subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Computer Magazine. Go to computermagazine.com. Like the Facebook page, facebook.com/computermagazine.com. Join us on Twitter, twitter.com/computermagazi, MAGAZI. I know it's a letter limitation of Twitter. What are you going to do? And like our videos, share them. If you want to make fun of me, share them even more and laugh, have fun. But either way, if you are a geek like me, then stay tuned as I keep bringing you more technology news. And let's get back to it. Well, I said we were going to talk about Google. Now, Google a few years ago bought Boston Dynamics, a robotics company, and they definitely seem like they're out at the head of the pack of developing our future robotic servants, or alternatively masters, depending. And it's getting pretty creepy, the things they're developing. So this is about a new robot they have come up with. And this is from geek.com, but several sites are reporting on this, and we have it all on Computer Magazine. This two-wheeled Bipedal Nightmare Robot is brought to you by Boston Dynamics. I may not remember much about the 1985 sequel Return to Oz, but I sure as heck remember the creepy ass wheelers, which is precisely what this new Boston Dynamics robot made me think. Made me think of when I first saw it. This is Handle, and clearly it was given wheels because two-legged robots that are fast enough to chase you down at a brisk jog aren't truly terrifying unless they can do it without creating a lot of noise. Handle currently tops out at around 9 miles per hour. While Handle might look a little awkward, it's actually incredibly nimble. Changes in terrain, uneven surfaces, inclines, and even small jumps are no problem at all. Oh, and it can jump too. So don't go thinking that your minimal Parker skills will help you evade Handle. Handle's front legs can carry a 50-kilogram load or, in all likelihood, stomp down on you with the force of Thor's hammer as a reminder that you should have been running away from it in the first place. That's not what a Handle is built for, thankfully. Given its ability to stand upright and carry heavy loads, Handle would be an excellent warehouse or factory worker, or even a horrifying stand-in for the UPS guy. It could even recharge in the back of the truck after running a parcel to the door. Here's how you know that Handle is truly creepy creation. Company founder Mark Rabert himself called Handle a nightmare-inducing robot during a presentation earlier this month. When that's how the company founder feels about one of his creations, it's hard not to agree. Yeah, it's hard not to agree. This is getting a little scary, and you can kind of see the way this is going for the replacement of us workers when there's already not enough jobs as it is. But then again, I have my faith in technology. Hopefully we have the Star Trek universe where, technology handles it and people are free to be creative and money is not needed and so forth. Although there still is money in Star Trek, such as Deep Space Nine, but that's neither here nor there. So that brings us to the video of the day. And this is on Boston Dynamics YouTube channel. Again, all the links will be in the show notes, so at the bottom of the video. So here we get to see this robot in action, and it is a little creepy, although it's quite incredible. And boy, just imagine this 30 years from now. So let's take a look. Well, yeah, very cool. It's very fascinating that the more advanced our technology gets, the more organic it looks. So, of course, life, biology is just organically evolutionary produced machines. Uh, so, it's very interesting that we're kind of getting there through silicon and copper, but who knows what materials we'll be using in the future. Of course, a lot of carbon based materials are being developed. Humans are mainly carbon based. It's just very interesting how we're moving in that direction. And of course, transhumanism and so forth proposes the integration of technology, and we've all seen these movies and of the future and integrating technology with biology and biological engineering and all of it becoming indistinguishable from actual biology. Only we're living 500 years or able to transfer our consciousness into a digital format that can be backed up and replicated, and we can live forever. So, this is the future, and it's fascinating. And, I figure they'll cure death in about 12 hours after I die, probably is about when they'll have finally converged all these technologies, and everybody from that point will live for eternity afterwards. That's kind of my luck, and probably some of you feel the same. But anyway, it is fascinating. It is fascinating where technology is going. So I'm glad to be a part of it. Some small degree, anyway. At least talking about it at this point. Well, our picture of the day comes from Cedric Kadich. Kadich, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. In New Hampshire. He doesn't say where. Anyway, you might have seen this one before. I've seen it before. It's been around for a while, but it's actually not quite a picture as much as a GIF or GIF, depending on how you want to pronounce it. I pronounce it GIF. Anyway, even though the person who came up with the format says it's GIF. Anyway, GIF. I'm so used to calling it GIF for 20 years now. Okay, anyway, if you're a programmer, you probably relate to this. It's funny. So I'll let it go around a few more times. But thanks for sending in your entry. And by the way, send me your picture. Editor at computermagazine.com. Get on our chat, computermagazine.com/chat. Call our call-in line. Tweet me. Post it to the Facebook group. Make sure you join the Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/computer magazine, or any of the other ways to get it to me, and it will make its way here, quite possibly anyway. So, thanks for sending this in. Very funny, especially if you're a programmer. So this next article is from FossBytes. Bill Gates recently took part in another Reddit discussion, and so they and a few other sites went over what his answers were to some of the questions. 13 most interesting questions and answers from Bill Gates AMA. Bill Gates, the chair of Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, recently took part in his 5th Reddit AMA. During the session, the users asked questions pertaining to different topics. Gates revealed his greatest achievement, views on AI, and favorite sandwich. He also answered the question, did you copy Steve Jobs or did he copy you? Yeah. That's quite a debate. Here are the 13 most interesting questions asked to Bill Gates during his 5th Reddit AMA. Here's the link to the complete AMA thread on Reddit. So let's start. I'll leave a link as well in the notes. Hello, Bill Gates. What is your idea of success? Bill Gates. Warren Buffett has always said, the measure is whether the people close to you are happy and love you. It is also nice to feel like you made a difference, inventing something or raising kids or helping people in need. Question 2. What do you personally find as your greatest achievement? Bill Gates. Although the foundation work is super promising and will be the biggest thing over the decades ahead, I still think the chance to be a part of a software revolution empowering people was the biggest thing I have gotten to do. Right now, I'm very focused on making sure We successfully eradicate polio. That will be amazing if we do it. As good as shipping even the best software product. Question 3. If you could give 19-year-old Bill Gates some advice, what would it be? Bill Gates. I would explain that smartness is not single-dimensional and not quite as important as I thought it was back then. I would say you might explore the developing world before you get into your 40s. I wasn't very good socially back then, but I am not sure there is advice that would fix that. Maybe I had to be awkward and just grow up. Question 4. Do you ever disguise yourself and just walk around incognito? Bill Gates. I sometimes wear a hat. For example, when I did college tours with my son, I wanted the focus to be totally on him. A lot less people recognize me when I have a hat on, or else they realize I'm trying to be incognito. Mostly when people do recognize me, they are super nice, so I don't feel it's a burden to be noticed most of the time. Question 5. Can you still jump over an office chair from a standing position? We gotta watch this video. Let's take a look at this.
Is it true that you can leap over a chair from a standing position?
It depends on the size of the chair. I'll cheat a little bit.
Yes!
Damn, it feels good to be a gangster.
Oh, you go, Bill. Yeah, I remember that. That came before Tom Cruise's crazy jump over the couch on the Oprah show. And Bill Gates' answer to that: no, perhaps a small chair or a stool. I do exercise and ski, but my main sport is tennis, which doesn't involve jumping. Some people jump over the net, but that isn't part of the sport. Question 7. What do you think is the most pressing issue that we could feasibly solve in the next 10 years? Bill Gates. A lot of people feel a sense of isolation. I still wonder if digital tools can help people find opportunities to get together with others. Not Tinder, but more like adults who want to mentor kids or hang out with each other. It is great that kids go off and pursue opportunities, but when you get communities where the economy is weak, a lot of young people have left, then something should be done to help. Question 8. What kind of technological advancement do you wish to see in your lifetime? Bill Gates. The big milestone is when computers can read and understand information like humans do. There's a lot of work going on in this field. Google, Microsoft, Facebook, academia. Right now, computers don't know how to represent knowledge, so they can't read a textbook and pass a test. Another whole area is vaccines. We need a vaccine for HIV, malaria, and TB, and I hope we have them in the next 10 to 15 years. Question 9. Okay, Mr. Gates, what's a typical Bill sandwich consist of? I'm talking breads, meats, cheese, condiments. If you could only have one sandwich on earth, what would it be? Bill Gates. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger. Question 10. If you could create a new IP and business with Elon Musk, what would you make happen? Bill Gates. We need clean, reliable, cheap energy, which we don't have. It is too bad the sun doesn't shine all the time and the wind doesn't blow all the time. The Economist had a good piece on this week. So we need some invention, perhaps miracle batteries or super safe nuclear or making sun into gasoline directly. Question 11. What are you most curious about, Bill? Bill Gates. I still find the creation of life and the way the brain works the most fascinating areas. Nick Lane has done some great books exploring what we know about how life started. It is amazing how little we know about the brain still, but I expect we will know a lot more in the next 10 years. In 10 years. Question 12. Where do you see yourself in 15 years? Yeah, I wonder where, well, you know, he's got the money to stay alive for a long time, if anybody. Bill Gates. I will be 76 at the time, hopefully a grandfather. The foundation with its partners will have eradicated a number of diseases, and health in poor countries will be a lot better. Specifically, instead of 5% of children dying, children under 5 dying, it should be at 2.5%, which is still a lot. I hope I can still type fast enough to do Reddit sessions without someone transcribing for me. Question 13. Did you copy Steve Jobs or did he copy you? Bill Gates. The main copying that went on relative to Steve and me is that we both benefited from the work at Xerox Park that Xerox Park did in creating graphical interface. It wasn't just them, but they did the best work. Steve hired Bob Belleville. I hired Charles Simone. We didn't violate any IP rights. Xerox had, but their work showed the way that led to the Mac and Windows. Yeah, it's a very famous computer lore, and if you're not aware of it, you can look it up. But Xerox Park famously gave away the whole prize to Steve Jobs, essentially, and Bill quickly followed, and of course there was a lot of infamy after that in computing history. If you were back in those days, you know about it all. So it's quite interesting that in the end, Steve Jobs really did turn it around before his life ended, and it's quite amazing. You know, with Apple was, I remember there, I mean, Apple was almost a non-factor in the IT industry, and really looked like it was on its way out. Well, that is all for today. Tuesday, February 28, 2017, my fellow technology enthusiasts, whether novice or professional or just curious or up and coming or whatever it may be. I am Chris Swearingin, and this was Computer Magazine's Digital Mashup. We work 24/7 here to bring you the best technology news from across the web. So make sure, again, to go to our YouTube channel, subscribe, like our page, and make sure to go to computermagazine.com. And by the way, join me tomorrow for more Digital Mashup, more technology news from across the web. We will do the Digital Mashup again for Wednesday, so I'll see you then.